Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert were heckled outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse today, where they appeared along with several other MAGA weirdos in support of Donald Trump. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. If you're planning a trip to New York anytime soon, you're probably familiar with some of the must-see landmarks and tourist attractions we have here. Broadway, the M&M store, Central Park, the M&M store, Times Square, the M&M store, the American Museum of Natural History, and MoMA, which is, of course, a fancy way of saying the M&M store. But there's a new must-see hotspot that is the top of the itinerary for every out-of-town visitor we have here, the Donald Trump hush money trial at the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse.
It's a show of support for Donald Trump. Republicans vying to be his running mate turned out in force at his trial today.
You just saw both Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio and Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama.
Rick Scott joined Donald Trump in court on Friday.
Vivek Ramaswamy, Congressman Byron Donalds, Congressman Corey Mills,
Doug Burgum, Tim Scott, Marco Rubio.
Donald Trump has brought more friends with him to court.
Big entourage today. No less than 9 lawmakers showing up for former President Trump this morning. You've got Representatives Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Andy Biggs, Michael Cloud, among others.
Man, Beavis and Butthead are everywhere. Seriously, there are more Republican members of Congress at Trump's criminal trial than there are at the Capitol. Just gonna throw this out there. Might be a good day to storm it. You see, Trump is under a gag order and can't attack people involved in the case the way he wants to, so his workaround is to summon his army of puppets to do his bidding. The problem is character witnesses should be people of high character, not people of who you would say, he's a real character. If you're on trial for a criminal charge where character is central to the case, Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert aren't exactly the role models you want with you in the room. That's like if OJ's buddy at his trial were Charles Manson, Hannibal Lecter. Gotta say, I'm surprised to see Lauren Boebert there. Not surprised she showed up, just surprised she hasn't been kicked out yet. I mean, if you're gonna get handsy during a performance of Beetlejuice the Musical, I can't imagine how turned on you'd get for a hush money to a porn star trial. But Boebert and Gaetz did get prime seats.
Boebert and Gaetz are in the courtroom right now, sitting in the front row next to Eric Trump.
Oof! They have to sit next to Eric Trump. Where'd you get your tickets from? Seat Freak? Scrub Hub was also considered. Sitting front row at the Trump trial must be like the MAGA version of sitting courtside at a Knicks game, except if someone says, wow, they're even bigger up close, they're talking about the bags under Trump's eyes. Seriously, this is how grimy and pathetic the Republican Party's become. The only thing sadder than having to sit in a dreary New York City courtroom for your porn star hush money trial is sitting in a dreary New York City courtroom for someone else's porn star hush money. We're in the Big Apple. What should we catch a Broadway show? Should we grab a hot dog a day? I gotta know. Let's go down to the courthouse and listen to Stormy Daniels describe the worst sex of her life. If Joe Biden were ever on trial for paying hush money to a porn star, I guarantee you not a single Democrat would be caught dead within a 100-mile radius. You'd never catch Bernie Sanders sitting in the front row saying, the problem with pornography is the top 1% of lonely housewives are getting 99% of the pizza deliveries. The rest of the housewives are living on the crusts. Also, Joe Biden would, sometimes maybe a pepperoni falls. Also, Joe Biden would never pay hush money to a porn star. He would just talk to her in hushed tones. Hey, I gotta tell anybody about this, right? At the very least, can we all just take a second to reflect on the fact that there used to be a time when Republicans would lecture the rest of us about family values and just officially declare now that they were obviously full of shit. In fact, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance once literally called for a ban on porn in order to save families. Of course, knowing how this guy flip-flops in deference to Trump, he'd probably say, the great thing about President Trump is he works hard. He didn't sit back and watch porn. He went out and made it. And House Speaker Mike Johnson once said that he and his teenage son monitor each other's porn intake.
Covenant Eyes is the software that we've been using a long time in our household. It's accountability software, so men in a church, men's Bible study groups will do it. It scans all the activity on your phone or your devices, your laptop, tablet, what have you. We do all of it. And then it sends a report to your accountability partner. So my accountability partner right now is Jack, my son, right? And so he's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices once a week. If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you my son he's got a clean slate.
What about you? How come you didn't tell us about yourself? My son's got a clean slate. I, however, keep getting very X-rated links sent to me by a friend. Hey, Mike, thanks for coming to my trial. Also, check this out. Is it porn? No. What is it? It's porn. And yet, even accountability partner Mike Johnson traveled to the courthouse to defend Trump during his porn trial.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records. But I think everybody knows he is not the bookkeeper for his company.
That's not the charge. The charge is he funneled a hush money payment through his business and lied about it on official records to conceal it from voters during an election. You can't do that. I can't funnel a hush money payment through this show's budget and call it something like wardrobe expenses, mainly because everyone knows we don't spend anything on my wardrobe. NBC pays for an intern to go to JFK once a week to rifle through all the luggage that gets left behind. That's why in yesterday's show, I was wearing a bolo tie and Mickey Mouse ears. So that's everyone from Matt Gaetz to Lauren Boebert to the Speaker of the House. Don't you guys have, like, I don't know, anything better to do? Even if you put aside your supposed jobs as members of Congress, I mean, just life stuff. I have 3 kids and a full-time job. If one of my friends asked me to fly to a different city to sit in a courtroom for 8 hours for his criminal trial, I would do anything to get out of it. I'd say, oh, you don't want me. If jurors are anything like Emmy voters, you want John Oliver. He's a friend. He's a dear friend. He's a very dear friend. Not like, here, borrow one of my Emmys, friend, but a dear friend. And not only are they showing up to the courthouse, there's also making it incredibly weird. For example, Kellyanne Conway's estranged husband and Donald Trump enemy George Conway is in the courtroom as well. And according to the reporters in the room, Boebert and Gaetz keep turning around to stare at anti-Trump attorney George Conway. Gaetz and Boebert are turning the first ever criminal trial of an ex-president into some sort of telenovela. George? Lauren? Matt? George? Matt? Lauren? Kellyanne! Ay, Dios mío! Got all the cameras right. I'll be honest, not a lot of confidence from the staff. But aside from embarrassing themselves in their party, I'm not sure what exactly they were hoping to accomplish with their presence. I guess they were there to offer moral support for Trump. It ended up coming off as creepy. For example, see if you can spot Matt Gaetz in this clip of Trump speaking at the courthouse.
Are you worried about a conviction?
Will you testify, Mr. Trump? Thank you very much. We are going to be, excuse me. We are going to be working with a lot of people over the next couple of weeks. This is finishing up. At some point, it'll be finished. Every single review, every legal scholar that I've been able to read said there's no case.
My God, Matt Gaetz is looming behind him like the killer in a Lifetime movie. Like he appeared during a lightning storm. Oh, hello, Donald. I hope I didn't startle you. What Lifetime movie is that? My ex is a vampire? Also, dude's got such a big head, he's standing all the way in the back, and it's still almost the same size as Trump's. He sticks out like a thumb with googly eyes. Gaetz and boy. I'm just so tired from my camera move. You guys remember when I looked at all 3 and that part went so good? I feel like that should have been the end, and now we're still doing it. I'm so tired. Gaetz and Boebert then appeared with their GOP colleagues outside the courthouse, where they spent a lot of their time getting heckled. First, a protester held up a sign while Gaetz was talking that said bootlickers. Of course, bootlicking is one of the things Trump paid hush money to cover up. Then, at the end of the press conference, Boebert tried to speak but was heckled by protesters who taunted her with mentions of the musical she got kicked out of.
And I want all of the news to start asking the question, what is the crime? Because everyone in this court has not been informed of what the crime is. The defendant does not know the crime that was committed.
Don't say it 3 times! It's a sign. It's a sign of how insane our politics are that protesters shouting the word Beetlejuice at a member of Congress, and we all know what it means. Also, my favorite part is when all her supposed friends just walk away and abandon her. Dudes, you're not gonna help her out? Oof, it's Lauren's turn. Let's get the out of here. This is how much the GOP has debased itself. They spent years lecturing the rest of us about family values, and now they're flocking to the criminal trial of an ex-president so they can stand there while the porn star he paid off describes what was, by her own admission, some of the worst sex of her life. What did Trump tell Stormy while it was happening? Don't worry.
This is finishing up at some point.
This has been A Closer Look.